Known for its large deposit of coal and tourist attractions, Enugu State have been the center for culture and tourism for decades. However, this is about to change due to the high cost of getting a befitting accommodation in the state, especially in Enugu State metropolis. The alarming increase in agent, legal and rent fees have become a significant burden for many individuals and families in Enugu, which raises questions about the factors responsible for this trend. Gamma TV took to the street of Enugu to interact with residents about their experiences in seeking affordable housing options in the city. According to Mr. Ike Okechukwu, who said that the fees are overwhelming, blamed house agents for the rise in house rent.
But na say that house rent now too much. Okay, water. So I don't make wuzia. I bet even na zuku after from Isheba na Koguno, Beba na Zafia. So the thing na bazi egumoto na this too much. So the thing na bazi na dem hard. Ni name. So I have the thing na bazi na ebumaka ni name.
Another resident, Mrs. Eziama Eunice, whose rent was increased in January, attributed the hike in rent fees to the poor economic situation.
We are finding it very difficult because the way things are now, it's very hard for us. But we don't know what to do. It's not easy for us. My dear, we don't know what to do. The way things are hard in this country, we'll not question them because it's their rights. We'll not question them. If it's easy for us, we'll go and build our own. So since we are in their house, we don't have any option. But if there is any way that God can help us or government will talk to them so that we know what they will do, they should come for our help. It's very hard for us to afford.
Also speaking, Mr. Michael Chidera said that the problem of housing in Enugu lies in the outrageous agent fees and urged the government to invest in the housing development as well as regulate house fees.
Getting a house is not funny anyway because it depends on the location. Yeah. For instance, we are going down to around Awani, Mayor, Amokwe, Amobia, down to Gariki. You can say, but it depends on the place you want to rent a house based on flats or public yard. Flats, you can get at least a new building is up to 500,000 a year, 450,000 a year, 350, depends on the apartment, maybe first floor, second floor, third floor, maybe down floor. But the problem lies in the aspect of the agency. For example, you see a house of 450,000, but agency will be around 100,000 or 150,000. Then caution fee will be 50,000. And maintenance fee, other fee will be around 20,000. Total of everything might be around 650,000. Then every year you're paying 550 or 450. So the problem lies in the agents. That's by the way. But if you can see a house around Co-Camp, Co-Camp is public yard. Yeah, but a year is around monthly. They pay by monthly because I haven't lived there. Monthly might be around 4,000. Depends on maybe a room, 4,000, 2 rooms, 8,000 naira. So, but generally, if you want to have a house, for example, flat, around Aban or New Haven, Independence Layout is more expensive than New Haven. Telling you, because Independence Layout is 650 a year. New Haven is 650 a year. Transecul is 700 a year. But Aban is 400, 450, at highest 500.
Reacting to the issue, the former chairman of house agents in New Haven, Nwokocha, blamed property owners and lawyers for the outrageous rent fees. Nwokocha also noted that the high rent fees is as a result of the deliberate refusal by some house owners to pay the 10% agent fee after closing a deal, pointing out that some houses have special charges.
So it is not the work of agents to fix price. It's landlords. Many landlords put a lot of money on their houses for people to come and rent. And when it is cheap, the agents will rent easily and collect their token agency fee. But when it is costly, the client will pay money and he will not pay agents. He will be finding it difficult to pay the agent who got the house for him. These are the problems we have here about rentage cost.
Responding to issue, a property consultant and house owner, Barrister J.O. Onyabo Esquire, attributed the raise to systematic failure and lack of political will on the side of government to provide affordable housing scheme.
Well, I think basically the issue of house rent, just house rent in Enugu, is what one can say it has gotten to a serious point of concern. A serious point of concern to the fact that so many persons are almost not capable of paying their rents again. So one can understand the outcry is quite a disturbing scenario. But the issue is that this issue is not something you can shift blames to a particular group or section or profession. Yes, you must start looking at this issue from multiple factors that is responsible for this high rate of rents in Enugu State. One, you don't talk about anything without looking at the land tenure system. How do landlords acquire lands? How do they get into their lands? How do they build? The state are not helping matters as regards how a landlord and potential landlord acquires his land. It doesn't work at all.
Barrister Onyabo also mentioned poor land tenure system, high fees in acquiring lands in the state, and multiple hidden charges as a result for high cost of rent in the state.
Government's intervention is highly needed at this point in time. What do you talk about that landlords are not providing? The infrastructural. Before a landlord fixes up a good building in Enugu, he may most likely construct either the culvert or the bridge leading to his house. He must most likely buy transformer or contribute for the purchase of transformer within the neighborhood where his house is situated. When those landlords are done, they factor all these things into the rent. And who pays the price? The masses. Then when you talk about the agents on their part, you won't shift the blames again to them. Most of the agents in the state are graduates who have no jobs. The only thing that puts food on their table is house rents. And of course, they must get their cut. And getting their cut, because the government is not regulating them, they can charge. In fact, they don't have any fixed price. But if it is a place where government places embargo or regulates the system, agent will have what we collect in each rent. But here, it is survival for the fittest. An agent who sees more or less like an uncivilized intending tenant can charge as much as possible. Then when you talk about the lawyers too are members of the society. That means even though our legal profession, we have remuneration, we have fees we charge. And I'm sure those who want to be professional as ought to be won't charge anything above that. But how do you justify when a landlord finishes his building, instead of bringing this house to a lawyer who knows what to do or an estate agent? The landlord will tell the lawyer, whatever you collect on your legal fee will be shared into two, visiting this different arrangement on the poor masses. So it's not a one-thing issue. It is a multiple problem that needs to be resolved holistically.
The legal practitioner further called on the government to invest in housing development skills as well as create conducive housing policies for the landowners.
Ordinarily, in some developed clans, government of the day creates estates, parcellate it, bring the price to an affordable price where even civil servants can purchase lands without paying multiple agent fees, without going to pay what we call consent fee. There are places we buy land in Enugu here. For instance, you buy a land of 10 million naira. They will tell you, no, the land is not encumbered by any person. But the moment you intend to take a step to develop the property, a different group will come for you to pay consent fee. And at times, some consent fee can be as costly as half of the purchasing price of the land. That is the problem. And you are left with the owners of the land to negotiate. No government intervenes. You are on your own. But if this is a society where government has intervened, create different estates where low-income earners can purchase land, build houses that can take them off the renting market, that will of course come into it. Then again, you will not forget the fact that government's intervention in infrastructural building still places a lot of hope. Apart from creating estates, how many areas have you seen government build fine roads that can attract investors to drive down there, construct houses and rent it on affordable prices? Take a look at most of the closest estates within the town. Individuals who construct roads, do fine fencing, perimeter fencing and what have you, just to beautify the place. At the end of the day, those things are factored into the rent. So whatever we say here, government has a role to play. That is why buying of land in the state, an individual that has a land knew very much whether government will not regulate his price. He sells his land the way he wants, may even come back at the end of the day to come and collect what I call a consent fee.
Been heard from the masses, the agent, the lawyer, and of course the affected people who have come to a conclusion that all stakeholders need to come together to put a lasting end to this issue of rentage in Enugu State. And of course, my name is Joy Amaka and this is Ogama TV.